This is TWiT.
The anniversary of Tetris, 30 years ago today. Surely, Christina, you did not play Tetris when you were 5 years old.
No, I got a Game Boy. So I was only like 1 when the game was released, but I played, I got a Game Boy when I was 7. And I used to play Tetris on it so much that I would dream in Tetris.
That's it. You win.
And apparently, though, that's actually not uncommon. There's something called, I can't think of the name of it, but there's apparently, it's like a phenomenon that they named after Tetris where people play types of games that they see, you know, the pieces in
see things, you see
thoughts.
blocks. Yeah. Yeah.
And you dream about it. And that would happen. I love Tetris so much. That is, if I have to think about like one game or one puzzle game I could play for the rest of my life, it would be that or Bejeweled, and I think Tetris would probably win.
Oh, I love Bejeweled, too. It's all pattern matching, right?
Yeah.
Tetris is available on every platform. Originally written by a guy from Russia, Alexei Pajitnov. I interviewed him when he first came to the United States. His English was very poor, very strong Russian accent. And I say, Alexei, what did you get paid for the rights to distribute Tetris in the United States? And he said, they gave me IBM PC. I said, that's it? He said, yes. I was very happy. In Moscow, in the Soviet Union in 1984, an IBM PC was like solid gold. And by 1988, Tetris was everywhere. I really liked Alexei. Really was an interesting guy, very sweet guy, and never did make a huge amount of money off of Tetris. But he did create an amazing thing. In fact, eventually the Soviet Union took over Tetris, and seriously, they're the ones Atari paid for the rights
the people's
to.
Right. Well, Atari paid, and then ended up having to bury those cartridges in the desert. Well, no, because the Tengen version of Tetris for the NES was ruled illegal, that it wasn't officially licensed
Because they didn't license it, right?
Right. They got it from the Soviet Union licensed it to somebody for the Tandy, and then the Tandy developer sublicensed it to someone at Atari, and then they made the console version. But Nintendo had licensed it directly from whoever was running the licensing stuff.
Wow.
And so Nintendo won. It was this huge court battle. It went on for a couple of years. Atari had to, scrap the whole thing. Those cartridges, if you can find one, there are very few that are out in the wild, are worth a tremendous amount of money. And the guy who, I spoke actually with the guy who runs Tetris Holdings, which is the company that does all the licensing, and the different gyrations, both because of in the Soviet Union at the time, and also the fact that it was a burgeoning like home computer and console market at the time. There should be, and there isn't, but there should be a book just on all the weird licensing stuff that's happened with Tetris. It's fascinating, but EA owns the game and publishes it.
And by the way, does a crap job of it.
They do. But Tetris.com and TetrisFriends.com are the ones that Alexei and this other guy still maintain control over. And you can actually play the Game Boy version of Tetris, complete with the music and in black and white, in like a little flash thing at TetrisFriends.com, which is always fun.
That's awesome. And so Tetris.com, I mean, there's a lot of ads and stuff, but you can play it, and that's the key. I love it. In fact, there's a Gazelle ad and an Xfinity ad. I love it.
Because they knew you were there, Leo.
They knew it was me. They've been following me.
No, those were personalized ads.
I was going to say, thanks, Google.
Those are tailored.
What's your highest score? Do you remember?
Oh, I've scored over 1 million several times. I mean, over 10 million, because you get like a really huge rocket if you do that after you get to a certain level. But I mean, I've wasted so many hours of my youth and not so much youth playing this game. It's not even.
I played the Spectrum Holobyte version a lot. That was and it had great music and backgrounds. Russian.
Yeah, that was like the definitive PC version, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mostly played it on the Game Boy, and in fact, until they stopped making versions of the Game Boy that would accept the original 8-bit cartridges, I think it was the Game Boy Advance SP was the last one. I still have that and the original Tetris cartridge someplace in my apartment. That a good 20-something years after I first got, almost 25 years after I got that game for Christmas, I still play it sometimes.